We don't need your opinions about how to raise our children. Amanda's voice was sharp as she stood in her kitchen, arms crossed. Maybe it's best if you don't visit for a while. My son Michael stood beside her, avoiding my eyes, his silence speaking volumes. I was being banned from seeing my own grandchildren because I'd suggested their 5-year-old might need a regular bedtime routine. My name is Margaret Wilson, and at 58, I never imagined I'd be standing in my son's kitchen, being told I was no longer welcome in their home. I'd raised 3 children as a single mother after their father passed away, worked as a pediatric nurse for 30 years, and somehow managed to put all my kids through college. But according to my daughter-in-law, I was too controlling and needed to respect their boundaries. I understand, I said quietly, gathering my purse. I'll show myself out. As I walked to my car, I could hear my grandchildren, Emma and Jack, playing in the backyard, their laughter making my heart ache. I wouldn't be allowed to see them tomorrow for our weekly baking session, or take them to the park on Saturdays like I had for the past 3 years. The drive home was a blur of tears and memories. I thought about how Amanda had gradually pushed me out of their lives since she and Michael married 5 years ago. First, it was small things. Changing our Sunday dinner traditions, insisting the children couldn't spend weekends at my house because it disrupted their schedule, criticizing my old-fashioned parenting advice. Michael used to stand up for me, remind Amanda of all I'd done for him and his siblings. But lately he'd grown distant, letting her make all the decisions. I wondered if he remembered the nights I'd worked double shifts to afford his soccer camps, or how I'd helped him through college applications while battling my own grief over his father's death. That evening, as I sat in my empty house, the house I paid off through years of careful saving, my phone buzzed with a text from my daughter Kate. "Mom, I heard what happened. I'm coming over." 20 minutes later, she was at my door with a bottle of wine and a fierce hug. "Amanda's always been jealous of your relationship with the kids," Kate said as we sat on my porch. "She can't stand that they adore you, that you have experience she doesn't. But banning you from their home, that's crossing a line." I sipped my wine, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and orange. "I just don't want to make things worse," I said. "The children shouldn't have to suffer because of adult disagreements." Kate snorted. "You mean like how we never suffered even though Dad died when we were kids? How you somehow managed to be both mother and father, never letting us feel the weight of your struggles." She squeezed my hand. "You're the strongest person I know, Mom. Don't let Amanda make you doubt yourself." The next few weeks were hard. I missed my grandchildren terribly, but I respected Amanda's wishes. No visits, no calls, no dropping by with freshly baked cookies like I used to. I threw myself into volunteer work at the local hospital, started taking art classes, and focused on building a life that didn't revolve around my son's family. Then came the call that changed everything. "Mom?" Michael's voice was strained. "Can we talk?" I sat down, bracing myself. "Of course, honey. What's wrong?" He stumbled over his words. "Amanda lost her job. The company downsized, and well, we've been struggling. We thought we could manage, but..." My heart clenched. I'd seen this coming. Amanda's designer clothes, their lavish vacations, the new car every 2 years. Their lifestyle had always seemed precarious on Michael's teacher's salary and her mid-level marketing position. "The bank," his voice cracked. "We're losing the house, Mom. We have nowhere to go." The irony wasn't lost on me. The woman who banned me from her home now needed mine. I thought about Emma and Jack, innocent in all this adult drama. They shouldn't have to suffer because of their parents' pride and poor decisions. "Come over," I said, my voice gentle but firm. "We'll talk about it." As I hung up the phone, I looked around my spacious 4-bedroom home, paid for with years of hard work and careful planning. I had room for them, but this time, things would be different. This time, there would be boundaries, my boundaries. Kate called moments later. "Did you hear?" "They're coming over to talk," I replied. "And?" she pressed. "What are you going to do?" I smiled, thinking of all the lessons I'd learned as a single mother, all the strength I'd found in myself over the years. "I'm going to help them," I said, "but on my terms this time." "That's my mom," Kate laughed, "always taking care of everyone, even when they don't deserve it." As I waited for Michael and Amanda to arrive, I pulled out a notebook and began writing. If they wanted my help, there would be conditions. It was time they learned that respect goes both ways, and sometimes the most controlling thing you can do is think you can control others. The doorbell rang at exactly 7 p.m. Through the frosted glass, I could see Michael and Amanda's silhouettes, standing closer together than usual. When I opened the door, the first thing I noticed was Amanda's red-rimmed eyes and Michael's crumpled shirt, so unlike his usual put-together appearance. "Come in," I said, stepping aside. The children rushed past their parents, Emma throwing her arms around my waist while Jack clung to my leg. Despite everything, my heart swelled at their touch. 3 weeks without seeing them had felt like an eternity. "Grandma, did you make cookies?" Emma asked, her eyes hopeful. Even in crisis, some things never change. "Not today, sweetheart. Why don't you and Jack go play in the garden? I need to talk to your parents." I watched them scamper off before turning to face Michael and Amanda. In my living room, the tension was palpable. Amanda perched on the edge of my sofa, her designer purse clutched tightly in her lap. Probably one of the last remnants of their formerly luxurious lifestyle. Michael sat beside her, his shoulders slumped in defeat. So, I began settling into my armchair. "Tell me everything." The story tumbled out in bits and pieces. Amanda's company had been struggling for months, but she kept it from Michael, hoping things would improve. They'd been living on credit cards, falling behind on their mortgage payments. The final notice from the bank had arrived yesterday. They had 30 days to vacate. "We've looked at apartments," Michael said, running a hand through his hair, "but we can't afford the deposits. And with Amanda's job loss on our record. Not to mention the foreclosure," Amanda added quietly, a far cry from her usual confident tone. "Nobody wants to rent to us." I picked up my notebook, opening it to the page where I'd written my conditions. "I have room for all of you here," I said carefully. "But there need to be some ground rules." Amanda's head snapped up, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Old habits die hard, I suppose." But before she could speak, Michael placed a hand on her arm. "Whatever you say, Mom. We're just grateful you're willing to help." I took a deep breath. "First, this arrangement is temporary, 6 months maximum. During that time, you both need to focus on finding jobs and saving money. No unnecessary expenses." They nodded, though I saw Amanda's fingers tighten around her purse. "Second, while you're here, we share responsibilities. Cooking, cleaning, household maintenance, we all contribute. And third," I paused, meeting Amanda's eyes directly, "I get to be a grandmother again. No more restrictions on when I can see the children or how I interact with them." But Amanda started, but Michael cut her off. "Of course, Mom, you're right about everything. I should never have let things get to this point." I smiled softly at my son, seeing glimpses of the thoughtful boy he'd once been. "There's one more thing," I added. "I want us to have family counseling, all of us together. We need to address the real issues here, not just the financial ones." Amanda's face flushed, but she remained silent. The choice was clear: accept my terms or find another solution. After a moment, she gave a small nod. "When can we move in?" Michael asked. "This weekend," I replied. "That gives us time to prepare the rooms and set up a schedule." As if on cue, laughter erupted from the garden. Through the window, I could see Emma pushing Jack on the old tire swing their father had played on as a child. Some things come full circle, I thought. That night, after they'd left with promises to return Saturday morning, Kate called again. "How did it go?" "They agreed to everything," I said, settling into my favorite chair with a cup of tea. "Even the counseling." "Wow," Kate whistled. "Amanda must be desperate." "Are you sure about this, Mom? Living with them won't be easy." I thought about the children's laughter in my garden, about Michael's grateful eyes, even about Amanda's silent struggle with her pride. "No, it won't be easy," I agreed. "But sometimes the hardest things are the most worth doing." "Just promise me something," Kate said. "Promise you won't let them walk all over you again." "Don't worry," I assured her, glancing at my notebook where I'd written my conditions. "I've learned a few things about boundaries myself." As I prepared for bed that night, I walked through my house, imagining how different it would be in a few days. The quiet would be replaced by children's footsteps, the empty rooms filled with life again. It wouldn't be perfect, nothing ever is, but it would be a chance to rebuild what we lost. In Emma's soon-to-be room, I opened the closet where I'd stored the dollhouse Michael had played with as a child. Tomorrow, I clean it up, maybe add some new furniture. Sometimes the best way forward is to remember where you've been. The first month of our new living arrangement was a delicate dance of personalities and adjustments. Emma and Jack settled in easily, filling the house with the kind of chaos I'd missed since my own children grew up. Amanda, however, struggled with the loss of her independence, often retreating to her room when she wasn't job hunting. Our first family counseling session was tense. The therapist, Dr. Martinez, asked each of us to share our feelings about the situation. When it was Amanda's turn, she broke down. "I feel like a failure," she admitted, tears streaming down her face. "I was so determined to prove I could do everything perfectly, be the perfect mother, have the perfect career. Now I'm living in my mother-in-law's house, the same woman She trailed off, unable to finish. "The same woman you banned from your home," I supplied gently. "Amanda, perfection is a burden none of us can carry. I learned that raising 3 children alone." Michael reached for her hand, and for the first time, I saw real vulnerability in my daughter-in-law's eyes. "How did you do it?" she asked me. "How did you manage everything alone?" "I didn't," I replied simply. "I accepted help when I needed it, and I learned that strength isn't about doing everything yourself. It's about knowing when to lean on others." That conversation marked a turning point. Slowly, Amanda began to open up. She joined me in the kitchen one evening as I prepared dinner, hesitantly asking about a recipe the children had mentioned loving. It became our thing, cooking together, sharing stories. I learned about her own mother's absence in her life, how she'd always felt she had to prove herself. Michael found a better paying teaching position at a private school, and Amanda started freelancing from home, building a small but steady client base. They were saving money, following my conditions diligently, but more importantly, they were learning to be part of a family again. One Saturday morning, about 3 months into our arrangement, I came downstairs to find Amanda going through old photo albums with the children. "Mom, look," Emma exclaimed. "Daddy was little like Jack in these pictures." Amanda looked up, her expression soft. "These albums are amazing, Margaret. You documented everything." I sat beside them, pointing out pictures of Michael's first soccer game, his high school graduation, the day Emma was born. "Life moves so fast," I said. "Sometimes pictures are all we have to remind us where we've been." "I was so wrong," Amanda whispered, her fingers tracing a photo of Michael as a toddler. "I was so focused on creating the perfect life that I couldn't see the perfect moments we'd already had." That evening, after the children were in bed, Amanda asked to speak with me privately. We sat on the porch, the same spot where Kate had comforted me months ago. "I owe you an apology," she began, "not just for banning you from our home, but for everything. I was insecure and controlling, and I took it out on you. The irony is, you're exactly the kind of mother I always wish I had." I reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. "We can't change the past, Amanda, but we can build a better future." 2 months later, Michael and Amanda found a small house within their budget, just a few blocks away. When they told me they were ready to move out, it was with gratitude rather than relief. "We'll still have Sunday dinners here," Michael insisted, "and the kids want to keep their weekly baking sessions with Grandma." Amanda nodded, adding, "If that's okay with you, Mom." The word caught us both by surprise. She'd never called me that before. Tears welled in my eyes as I pulled her into a hug. On moving day, as we carried boxes to their new home, Kate arrived to help. She pulled me aside, watching Amanda organize the kitchen while Michael and the kids set up their rooms. "I can't believe the change in them," she marveled. "Especially Amanda. What's your secret?" I smiled, thinking of all the late-night conversations, the shared meals, the tears and laughter of the past 6 months. "Sometimes people just need to be shown a different way of loving," I said, "one that doesn't demand perfection." That evening, after everyone had gone, I sat in my quiet house. But this time the silence felt different. It wasn't the heavy quiet of exclusion, but the peaceful stillness of knowing my family was whole again, even if we lived in separate homes. My phone buzzed with a text from Amanda. "Thank you for not giving up on us. Sunday dinner this week. I'd like to try making your lasagna recipe." I smiled, typing back, "I'll bring the garlic bread." Sometimes the greatest victories aren't won through confrontation, but through opening our hearts and homes to second chances. My son's family had needed more than just a roof over their heads. They'd needed to learn what real family means. And in teaching them, I gained something too, a daughter in Amanda, and the knowledge that love, when given freely and without conditions, has the power to heal even the deepest wounds.